Hello everyone. Welcome to Ingenium 6.0 at XLRI. I am Ashish Kumar and it's an honor to introduce Mr. Albert Fernando, CEO and founder of TravelWings.com. With over 11 years of experience building and scaling travel business across startups and global brands, he is a leader in travel management, operations and travel technology, driving the vision to make TravelWings one of the top travel management companies in the Middle East. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us here. Let's get started.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes. Sir, I would like to ask you my first question. It is since we are in a startup conclave and we are here to talk about your inspiring journey. How would you compare your career journey with that of a startup?
I think for me, startup didn't happen by accident.
Okay.
I probably would say that for me, from childhood, I always had the passion towards travel. And with that passion, I entered the travel industry at the age of 17.
Mhm.
So I started working from there with the passion that I really want to do something in the tech travel space.
Okay.
So it was a planned effort of learning first before you innovate.
Mhm.
So I took time to really learn, almost 14 years plus, to learn the whole industry, still learning every single day.
Mhm.
And then that's when you plan to say you're ready. Now you kickstart. What do you want to kickstart here?
Yeah. So I think learning is something which is continuous and it should not
Absolutely.
stop.
I think any startup should have a differential advantage.
Mm.
And for changing or innovating any single vertical in the world, it's quite important to first learn it from its DNA.
Mm.
That's the only time you can innovate it.
Nice. Nice to know yourself about your inspiring journey.
Okay.
So, sir, I would like to ask you. You founded TravelWings and now lead it as a CEO. Across your many roles in the travel industry, what one guiding philosophy has stayed with you? That one guiding philosophy.
There are multiple different factors you have to keep in mind. It just
Okay.
cannot be one, to be honest. Yes, one must be truthful and be passionate.
Hmm.
That's the base, right? But more than that, learn. Be a sponge.
Okay.
You start even as, like, I started as a reservation sales staff, sitting at the counters, picking up calls, handling customers, right? Every single journey has something to learn from.
Hmm. Correct.
You collate all that data together and you materialize what you want to make out of it later. So for me, it's about, you can only do that if you have passion, but with passion, you learn and you accept what you're strong at and what you're weak at. And that's when you start up a company.
So it's nice to hear that from a ground level you started and then you reached at a position which is really inspiring for our audiences also. So it's really motivational. And sir, I would like to ask you, since you started the TravelWings.com, and I heard that you expanded through multiple geographies. So sir, what was that priority parameter that you looked while expansion in multiple geographies?
Well, there are two things here. So one is, we always had the vision of expanding into emerging markets.
Okay.
So wherever we have expanded, most of expansions have been in markets where there are no online travel companies.
Mhm.
So like in Africa, out of 26 countries that we're present in, 22 countries, we are the only online travel company.
Nice.
So which means we're trying to change the consumer behavior.
Mhm.
And by changing consumer behavior, the bigger goal is how do you create e-commerce jobs in those markets when there are no e-commerce platforms or e-commerce businesses existing in those markets. So how can we be a catalyst of transforming companies to increase their economy?
Mhm.
So that's one big goal, right?
Okay.
The other segment is it's always good, companies start up in one specific country and they try to become the biggest.
Mhm.
I look at it quite differently
Okay.
because to maintain a status of being the largest
Mhm.
is a very expensive status to maintain. A lot of funds have to be invested into it. And there's a lot of other risk factors of being only in one country.
Mhm.
What if something happens to the country's economy?
Yes, correct.
Right. So our thought process was that how do I diversify? Instead of being a king in one country, how do I become a minister in 100 countries? And being a minister in 100 countries makes that organization much more powerful than a king in one country.
Oh, nice, sir.
And you basically de-risk yourself in terms of sustainability. What if a specific geography of the planet goes wrong?
Hmm.
The economy crashes. I still have the other segments, but my business will not crash. So from a sustainable perspective as well, it makes sense to really diversify into multiple countries.
So it seems like diversification helps you be ready with your backups. If
Absolutely.
one fails, then another is
Absolutely.
present for them.
Absolutely.
And so you told now that you wanted to transform customer journey. So, sir, what challenges did you face while looking?
Well, many. So if you talk about Africa, we learn from it, right? So unlike even in the Indian market or even in the West or even in the Middle Eastern market, you have very high internet penetration, you have high credit card penetration in these markets. In Africa, the reason why we moved to Africa was of three reasons because of this exciting challenge. One is there are 54 countries. 54 countries have 1.4 billion people. Out of 1.4 billion people, 2.5% are unique travelers right now.
Yeah.
Only 2.5%.
Only 2.5
are travelers, which means, and out of the 1.4 billion people, 60% are less than the age of 22, which means 10 years from now, you're having a whole new generation getting in the workforce who believe in lifestyle, who believe in travel. So the challenges where people are not able to pay by credit cards because credit card doesn't exist in many of the countries, or it's very less percentage. Your payment infrastructure is not great. Your failure rate, unlike Indian subcontinent, in India, your payment segment is so developed and superior that you don't have problems in terms of success rate because it's all authenticated pretty well. Whereas, let's say, for example, in some parts of Africa, you put a credit card number, you get an OTP. Now, getting an OTP into the customer's phone number is not the payment gateway's fault. It's the responsibility of the bank or whatever network they're working with. Even those OTPs don't fall on time. Payment fails. So by which there are certain markets where your failure rate on credit cards are more than 60% failure rates. So which means the cost of acquisition goes higher. So we integrated with more than 38 banks across Pan-Africa. We integrated with a lot of mobile payment solutions like M-Pesa, Tigo Money, MTN Money, all of them. And we also integrated with exchange houses where you can basically do cash on delivery as well. For an e-commerce travel business, it doesn't exist. So these were all the challenges, and on the top of it, changing consumer behavior in terms of trust. Can I book on this website?
Yeah.
So that's why we went local. Global, we say global. So basically global but local. Okay. So we know that we are there, and we try to get the consumer to say we are there for you and we are there to support you, and that's how we build up the trust factor.
So I love the segmentation that you presented right now. It's very inspiring. And sir, I would like to know that since you captured the local markets as well, so what are the things that you look for in general? Do you look for the culture? Do you look for something which is the right one thing that you look for?
Every market, you cannot go with one thing that you're looking for from a commercial angle in a specific country. Okay. It has to change. Say, as I mentioned, probably even at the panel as well, there is a vision. The vision sticks consistent. It doesn't change. Okay. But how do you do business in every single market with what goal changes by market? Because the sentiments and the dynamics are different. Right? So, for example, if you take South African market, 65% is domestic travel. Okay. What you would focus there is completely different from if you talk about Nigeria, Lagos, for instance, or if you talk about UAE for that matter. Every single country has its own dynamics. So it's about adapting it, changing your business model or your product line or your user interfaces and consumer journey and your fulfillment strategy changes by market.
But the vision is clear.
The vision has to be the same. Yeah.
Understood, sir. Nice. I would like to ask next question. With a career background that covers everything from PL and then management to travel, technology, what is the single most important thing that you think travel business should focus on?
Now, travel has been split into two, right? One is online travel companies, which I fall in. Okay. And one is the brick and mortar business. There's one thing which online travel companies have not really reached the level of how an offline travel company functions is service level and customer satisfaction. Okay. Tech is fantastic with almost every single company around the world. They have fantastic technology, they have fantastic user journeys and everything, but when it comes to the end of the funnel, which creates stickiness, is what matters, because of which brand loyalty becomes a problem. So it's always price driven. There's no emotional attachment towards a brand. The only way of bringing that customer lifetime value pretty longer is about creating that stickiness with the customer, and that's actually customer service. So we're investing a lot on tech on that front to say how do you make your customer happy and smile. And I think that's probably one of the more, it's not about your price points. You cannot be the cheapest every single day. If you're going to be the cheapest every single day, when do you make money?
Yeah, correct.
Right. So it is not about being the cheapest. It's about being competitive You be competitive, you give them a good user journey and a good product line, but you make them smile. And I think that's the end goal. That's what really keeps them with us forever.
And sir, how do you cater the price sensitive market? I mean, you're talking in terms of stickiness with the customer. So let's say if there is a price sensitive market, then how do you cater it?
So there are 2-3 ways of looking at it, right? So as I said, you cannot be the cheapest in every single segment because you have more than, if you look at permutations and combinations, there are more than 1,500 sectors on the flight segment. You know, from like Dubai to Bombay, Bombay to Delhi. There's so many sectors and permutations and combinations, right? And you have more than 85, 90 airlines across the world. And you have more than 1.5 million hotels. We cannot be cheapest in every single thing. We try to be competitive and be transparent, saying this is the price point. We don't overcharge the customer, right? But that being said, how do we capture the market is about creating the customer trust at the end of the day. See, if it was price sensitive, I would say, if I take an example of an Apple phone or a Samsung phone, they are the most expensive phones on the planet. But why are people still buying it? So it's sometimes not about price. We have to be competitive, but it's about the value that you're giving for that price point. That's what, otherwise, if that was the case, these expensive smartphones would not be existing today. They can go for cheaper brands.
And sir, in a price sensitive market, let's say, sir, how do you think that a firm should make sure that it is above and beyond with respect to the competitors present in the market?
I think there are algorithms for that for us to understand how much is our price points, what is consumer. Because today, being in the e-commerce business, we know what is our click rate, what's our open rate, what is the end of the funnel, how many people are searching for what, and how many people actually come to the next particular page. So that gives us indications that that is demand. But how much of the demand is transferring down to the next stage of the website? So based on which we understand that, and there are algorithms to understand what is competition doing as well. Meta search also helps us a lot because meta searches have all the airline OTA websites under one panel. Hotels, there are aggregators for that. So there are multiple tools to understand whether we're competitive or not competitive. But we've also created an engine ourselves to understand where do we stand as a business across multiple geographies. And we only focus on areas which makes for the consumer good sense as well as for us commercial sense, and we focus on selling them. Rest of it, where if somebody's basically going to heavily discount the price point, there's no point of fighting that battle. There are many other segments to focus upon. We focus on that and become the master on that.
And sir, one more question is coming into my mind. Like, let's say a firm has certain financial viability. So sir, up to what extent that firm should look towards the market research to understand the customer more better, so that they can come out with more better products and services?
See, I think there are 2 phases to it. Before, like, we entered into many new markets. So we had to do an R&D. We had to really understand what's happening, speak to the airlines, speak to tourism boards, speak to our peer companies, understand what the market's like. So that's an assumption phase. So you do that assumption phase with the grain of salt and saying that this is what I believe is going to work. And we test the waters for 3 months. And we then do A/B variants to those different approaches we do. And after that, we collect data. And after we collect, so first is assumption phase. That is after R&D, you have an assumption phase. With that assumption phase, you execute, you review, you learn, you tweak, and that's an evolving process. Probably in 3-4 years' time, you'll really understand what really works in this market, at least for the next 1 year. You can never say that this is going to work for the next 5 years because every single 6 months, consumer searching patterns, everything is changing. So it's very important to change your strategy every 6 months. Relook at what is happening every 2 quarters. See what has to change. Has it worked, not worked, and keep on evolving.
But sir, let's say if the assumptions go wrong, then up to what extent the firm should bear that cost?
Your dentist 2 months, that's what I said. The assumption phase, you execute it for 2 months. You evaluate it the 3rd month. So basically, if something has gone wrong, you'll really come to know in the first 3 months.
And so let's say if the assumptions are continuously going wrong and wrong, then how would you get into that?
The assumptions will only go wrong so let me give you an example. Right. So, for example, in one of the African countries, our credit card failure rate was very, very high. Right. So we worked on a strategy of creating, we realized that when the dollar values are very high, because the dollar values are very high, those credit card payment gateways and the banks were authorizing those cards for those higher dollar values.
Okay.
Whereas if it was a smaller dollar value, like let's say $90 or $50 or whatsoever, those transactions are going through very well.
Oh.
So what we did was we created a fare lock method,
Okay.
where you can lock your fare in Africa. With locking your fare, we saw that there was still the transaction. So that was the second step, because we knew that that's the right thing to do. And then we realized there was another technical problem on 3DS management, where the OTPs are not going on time.
Oh.
Then we took a strategy saying, let's do non-3DS.
Oh.
So it's an evolvement. As long as there is a bit of growth, and if it's not growing at all, or if it's dipping down, then you're completely in the wrong track. You anticipate growth, but if it's like this and then you go up there and it goes there, that's fine. But it cannot be straight. It cannot go down.
And let's say, sir, the progress is dipping down. Then how are the team members motivated to progress more and more? I mean, it can be the case like if the progress is not going as per predicted or anticipated, and if the team members are not motivated, let's say in a small startup, then how to cheer up them and then.
See, cheering up a team member, one is about performance, one is about the leader by itself.
Okay.
Right? So that's how it is. Now, if something is going down, as a leader, it's important for us to understand why is it going down in the first place. Instead of pointing it back on the team members and saying, nothing is happening, guys. This is not good enough. That's wrong. Before you point one finger, there are four fingers pointing back at you in the first place. So first, have we done all the required structural changes and requirements for the team members to perform? That's the first thing to look at. Secondly, have we given the appropriate training for the team members? So when a staff, for example, does not give good customer service to a customer, it's not about asking how this staff did not give good service to the customer, he's at fault. No, I think it's about looking at, first of all, did we give proper training to them?
Yeah.
Did we give them proper instructions and learning ground? If not, then they are not to be blamed. We are to be blamed.
The leader is.
Exactly. So I think first it's about looking at us, what has to change. And then if we see they are not able to perform, we handhold them and teach them saying, do this and do this. Go ahead. If you fall, we are there to lift you back. Then what happens is they start taking ownership.
Okay.
Because they know that if I fall down, he's there to pull me up back. They will not blame me, they will pull me back up. Once that genuine intention comes from the employees, then I don't think something should go wrong.
Okay.
Unintentional errors can happen, but intentional or careless errors are not bothered about the business and I'm just doing a job. That intention would not be there with employees.
I love the thought process you have, sir. It's a sign of a great leader, actually. Okay. I would like to ask you the next question. In your experience of building teams across different geographies and cultures, what was one challenge that you overcame? What would be your say to our aspiring entrepreneurs about that?
Yeah, I think the first challenge that I probably had when I was hiring people across the world was how big was Travel Wings at that point in time?
Okay.
Why would they join? And I think the first thing that I did was I first hired the first in line who basically joined this organization because of passion and the alignment in vision. And we breathe and sing from the same hymn sheet. So then what happens is, if I've got 5 warriors, those 5 warriors, it's easy for them to get another 5 warriors. So we don't go and hire everybody around the sun.
It's like a chain of networks.
It's a chain. So 5 can hire 5, that 5 can hire 5.
Okay.
And that's how you grow the brand before you basically, the day you become a global brand, then people will want to join you, right?
Yeah.
But until you reach that point, it's about conviction. So you have to pass on that positive vibe and aura along with the vision to wherever you're driving, and that's how people join.
Nice to hear that. Actually, it shows how strong a foundation should be to expand more and
Absolutely.
more. Yeah. So travel being a highly regulated business, what are some weak signals emerging that travel businesses should focus on?
See, I wouldn't say weak signals. I would flip it by saying the changing signals, the different frequencies that are evolving,
Okay.
consumer behaviors that are changing,
Mm.
the amount of complexities and demand which consumers are really wanting. How much are we evolving to that change?
Mm.
And that is something, that speed could be a weakness.
Okay.
Because it's not just about us able to adapt. Say, for example, let's say the hotel business.
Mm.
Initially, people were looking at selecting a hotel based on reviews,
Mm.
based on, based on, let's say, where's the location, how is the service, how are the interiors, exteriors, and facilities and amenities. Now it's come to a point where they say how sustainable they are,
Mm.
what kind of pillows do they use, how comfortable are those pillows,
Mm.
how flexible. So it's gone to almost 750 attributes of a decision making factor of a customer.
Mm.
Now, with so many attributes coming on board,
Mm.
many of the hotels, some of them have really done exceptionally well, but many of them are still not ready to capture those attributes and showcase what do I have. They might be having it, but to even showcase it down to the world or to any of the travel agency or the OT, which in turn can showcase to a consumer, that ecosystem doesn't exist. So that speed is probably a weakness for the changing, evolving nature of consumers.
And so, what are the factors that you generally look for when you want to develop the willingness to pay for your product or service? I want to know that.
Can you repeat the question?
Just I want to know that what are the factors that you should look for to develop the willingness to pay for the product or service that you want to launch?
If you start looking at for them to pay versus we giving them what is required for them and complementing with additional services that is relevant to them, would eventually come for a pay.
Okay.
It's not about if you do not want a pen, I will not sell you a pen. See, I'm a travel marketplace, so I've got multiple different product lines in place, right? So if it's a product by itself, then you have to go to the consumers who really want this product or create the need of educating consumers. Why do you want that product?
Okay.
So if it's like, suppose if it's a product of this flask, so I'm a product making company of this particular flask, then you create something and you show the reason of what is it benefiting for you and creating a need for the consumer. So that's one strategy. For other companies which are selling multiple products together, you give them what they want,
okay,
and you complement it with, say, for example, let me give an example, right? Somebody is booking a flight with me from Dubai to London. Now, everybody gives a flight to Dubai to London. You've got a transfer, done. What if I give you, okay, fine, you're going to Dubai to London. These are the kind of food that you like to have. These are the discount vouchers for those restaurants in the destination. These are the discount vouchers for different shopping malls that you want to shop for. So you're not giving just the commodity, you're giving the entire experience of his journey throughout. And that is what makes them say that, okay, fine, same price points or slightly higher or maybe even cheaper, but I'm getting more value than just looking at the commodity of that particular flight product. That's what makes them convert with you.
And sir, according to your experience, I would like to know that what is more challenging, creating the need for the customer or understanding the need for the customer?
I think first is understanding, then you create.
Okay. So first step should
You
be
can't
understanding.
create it and then check if they want it. Then you have lost the gun.
Yeah.
Right. First you have to check, is this really a need for them? Or is there an opportunity for this?
Okay.
Right? Because sometimes there is a scenario where consumers might not even understand that this is a need, but you probably be educating them saying that this is a need. So that's self-realization of a consumer. That's an education that you do. So it's about understanding the customer first.
So finding the right opportunities in the market
Absolutely.
is one of the best strategies that we should.
I think, see, when it comes to that, it's about finding the problem, identifying the gap, what is the solution for that, and for that solution, what all product lines fall into the picture.
Okay.
And for those product lines, how do you showcase it to the customer? Then evaluate whether you're basically fulfilling the need of that consumer.
And so, sir, for the products or services that are already present in the market, and if you want to launch the same type of product and service, so would you recommend it as a viable option for a growth of a firm?
See, there is never a first time, the first one to enter, the second one to enter.
Okay.
Like how needs are evolving,
Mm.
all these product lines will also evolve.
Mm.
Now, if there are more than 150 different product from companies doing the same thing as such,
Mm.
then unless and until you have a very good justification of why you are fixing a problem which nobody else is able to fix
Mm.
or will not be able to replicate.
Mm.
So, for example, let's say that you're doing something on the tech side, right?
Mm.
And you know that others are doing it, but I found an innovative way of doing it. But if you go ahead and start a company that way,
Mm.
there are giants which will kill you
Correct.
straight away. So, is that the right thing to do? You have to see its sustainability. Look at something that you can really disrupt
Mm.
and scale.
Okay. So disruption and scalability are
Yeah.
the two takeaways for our audience as
Yeah.
well. So, sir, I would like to ask you, travel being a highly regulated business, what are okay, I've asked. So next question is, you have earlier handled the role of a chief operating officer, and now you had an entire business as the CEO. What is the kind of change in thought process you felt you underwent when you made this transition?
See, thought process honestly keeps on changing, not just from the designation. It honestly changes every 3 months.
Okay.
I always believe in one thing. What we have learned for the last 6 months, unlearn them. Otherwise, you will not be intact with what is happening in the market. So, because being a CEO, of course, you have your balance sheets, and that's something that you evolve over time. You learn the financial aspect of it, the technological aspect of it. You learn the operational aspect, the marketing aspect, the brand, the equity, the shares, the valuation of the company, operational efficiency, customer lifetime value. You learn all that, right? As you scale up, one of the most important thing is how do you be a people's person? How do you get the teams embrace and march as one army? I think that's a thought process you should have. But again, that keeps on scaling up because generations are changing. Youngsters more come into the ecosystem. Different generations are coming. The thought processes are different. Consumer behavior is changing. So the way you lead, the way you expand, everything keeps on evolving. So I think one thing that definitely we do as an organization is we learn, we unlearn, we learn. And that's a continuous process, because if you learn and you stick to it, saying then you have a blockage saying that this is how it works. It has worked in the past. It will work now.
And sir, since we're discussing about thought process, sir, I would like to know that what is the thought process of investors? I mean, what they look for, like when they are really convinced, like this is the firm that I want to invest in, according to your experience.
See, investors are like five fingers. There are 5 or 6 or 7 different kind of investors.
Okay.
No. So in those investors, you'll find multiple buckets, right? So I think first, that's a discussion we had also the panel, that it's quite important to understand what kind of investor, because all investors think differently. Different kind of investors think, like you can have a venture capital firm, you can have an equity firm, you can have a debt firm, you can have HNIs, you can have angel investors. You have all these different kind of investors.
Yeah.
And in that, there are multiple categories who look at long-term, short-term, or mid-term, right? So you should really first of all identify, for my business model, when I do my business case, what kind of investors really fits into this ecosystem. That's the first aspect. The second aspect should be that if they fit into that ecosystem, do they have experience in this vertical of the business? Then they understand it better. Otherwise, what happens is you will go with a strategy saying that I want to do this. And if they don't understand the business, they will not agree to it. It's important for them to, so that is alignment. So because the success story is all about alignment, right? And the third part after that is, with their ecosystem, is there anything that we can leverage upon? So, for example, let's say if we have an investor who also has invested into a call center or is also invested into a R&D research center. It makes strategic strength for us instead of we reinventing the wheel for our business, leverage the strengths of such different organizations that they have or connections that they have, which opens up doors or leverages or reduces cost for running the operations of these aspects. So first is about identifying the investor. Second thing is, do they know the business? Third is there any other leverage on that front? And then you finalize that. And then you start convincing them. And if they're convinced, then they invest.
And sir, according to your experience, I would like to know that is it majorly about that investors are present to make money, or they really want to give suggestions to make your business and scale it up according to your
So
experience?
investment is all about increasing your asset value.
Okay.
I wouldn't use the word money, which is basically liquidity per se. It's about creating value or complementing other lines of, so which means literally increasing your asset value, right?
Okay.
But increasing your asset value is how an investor would look at. Otherwise, why would they invest? They wouldn't invest into something where they are losing an asset value as such, right? Some investors can be looking at passion, but that's very minimal. But it's always about increasing asset value.
Mainly about increasing the asset value. Okay, sir. And sir, do investors majorly look for the trust on the firm before investing?
I think they definitely look at the founders. They look at the leadership team in terms of they're not investing into the company, they're investing into those people. Because so without the trust factor, they will never invest. They will never invest. They first look at the leadership team and then they look at the rest of the business methods, the business models, the scalability and everything. So that's another very big attribute on the top of, if everything is right, but if the founders themselves are not trustworthy, the investors wouldn't invest. So that's probably one of the key decision factors for sure.
And sir, I've heard in many times that, let's say I want to start my startup. So why is it that the founder is looking for investment compared to getting loans? I mean, why it is preferred investment rather than taking loans?
See, certain business models work upon you can take loans,
Okay.
provided you have a clear-cut strategy.
Okay.
What is it? But again, as I mentioned, there are multiple kind of investments. Debt is a different kind of an investment. Probably debt investment can be something looked upon when you know that you've already created a ground and you want to scale up further, and I want it just for cash flow.
Okay.
And my additional revenue coming on board can even take care of the financial charges of that particular debt. When you come to that point, yes. But before even kickstarting, you go in for a debt. As I said, you have the assumption phase and you have the 3 months phase, and then you tweak. What if in that assumption phase the assumptions are slightly wrong? Then who pays the debt? What happens to the founder? He should not be taking so much of financial stress rather than looking at the business. His 95% focus should be on how to scale up my business in a very lean model rather than,
And sir, what are your views related to bootstrapping?
We did bootstrapping, travel banks ourselves.
So sir, would you like to share something like how was your experience?
You see, bootstrapping is good as long as you don't kill all your assets as well.
Okay.
As a business, it's as an entrepreneur, it's very, very. I've done that mistake in the past.
Okay.
And when you do that mistake, that's when you realize that when you put both completely, you should take a portion of it to show that you're really sincere for this. So that's the reason I'm taking some of my actual assets and investing into this. But don't take everything that you have and invest. And what if something goes up and down?
So it might create a financial burden also.
It might destroy the person completely.
Yeah, I mean, it might pull you back financially.
So you have the brains, you have the efforts, you have the passion, you have the skill set. That is another investment that you're doing. So take a small value invest initial days to create the MVP. And after creating the MVP, there are investors who can help us to scale up the business to build it up further.
So sir, is there any thumb rule, like let's say I have certain amount of X money in my account, and is it something like 20% of the money should be contributed as bootstrapping or 30% should be contributed? Like on what basis?
It all depends on how much money you have in the account.
Okay.
Right? If the one is quite big, then it will be a smaller percentage. So it all depends on how much money we have in the account. Yeah.
Okay. So it depends on the money in the account. Okay, I remember this. So sir, your experience spans retail, corporate and airlines. How does the definition of success and the KPIs change as you move from one of these industries to the other?
Every single KPI is different when it comes to me, because I work for airlines, I worked for the corporate travel world. Right? So the KPIs and the key performance and the key success indicators are all different. But there's only one thing that's common, that's a common denominating factor.
Okay.
That end goal is satisfaction of a consumer.
Okay.
So that remains the same. rest all KPIs change. So, for example, when you talk about the e-commerce business, what is my conversion rate? What is my customer lifetime value? So on and so forth. Now, when it comes to the corporate travel business, your key performance factors are about how much of new corporate market share do I have? Those aspects. When it comes to an airline, what's the load factor of my seat? What's the forecasted load factor of my seats?
Okay.
So KPIs are completely different, though it's the travel industry. But I think at the end of the day, it's about customer lifetime value and customer satisfaction.
So I think customer satisfaction is the one thing that
That repeats. I mean, any single vertical, if you have an end happy consumer, he'll keep on consuming it more.
Got it, sir. So, sir, how do you see AI changing the way the travel tech business operates?
Still too early in terms of how travel is completely getting disrupted.
Okay.
Right? So there are certain aspects like hoteliers have really embraced AI to a very different level along with robotics. So there are self check-in hotels right now. Your keys, even your waiters, getting your food, everything is done by robotics in many hotels across the world now. All those things have been automated, and a lot of AI engines have been going through. Now, I think the travel industry, what's first going to get embraced is about your operational aspect, operational efficiency, data collections, and understanding consumer behavior first. So I think the first phase is to collect data. Entire tech development of travel is very complex, and I don't think since we do not know the compliances of it concretely well, we do not know how the certain piece of code is going to evolve. There's a risk factor in that. So sometimes me and my CTO, we have a discussion. I said, no, I don't think this segment we should touch. We can experiment certain areas, but you can't completely change it into an AI engine, because once a code is developed on AI, complex codes are developed on AI, there'll be a point in time you will not even know how it is being developed.
Correct, sir. Absolutely.
So that's
correct.
a problem, right? So I think we should take the branches, innovate them with AI. When we know that there's compliance policies and there are methods to identify how to control the development of the code, then we will start developing the core engines on AI.
And sir, do you really feel that AI will eat up jobs or it will transform jobs? What is your take on this?
See, if that was the case, honestly, when the e-commerce industry came on board, everybody said all the shops will die. It's an evolvement. I think eventually what's going to happen with mankind is today you require a lot of executors and doers. There'll be a point in time where you will require a lot of thinkers. So the way the human race will evolve, it's not about losing jobs. You might probably not even require jobs because human beings might become self-sufficient, and they start looking at researching into what they like to do in life and look at something even bigger. But eventually, I don't think there are certain sectors which might get dormant, but it does not mean that they would be jobless. They evolve into something else. Humans were Homo sapiens first. How did they evolve to humans, right?
Yes.
Nature changes you the way you look at it.
And sir, what do you think the low-level jobs will get impacted? I mean, I think the low-level jobs will have the maximum impact because of the changes and evolvement of AI.
Yeah, but if you also look at it, the low-level jobs which are there is because of the literacy rate being low. What happens in a couple of years from now? The literacy rate is going to go high.
Yeah,
then anybody who's literate, would he want to do that low-level job? He will not want to. So probably that will be replaced by machines. So be it. So it's a balanced ecosystem. Yes, there will be a bit of a tremor in that transition phase. But again, it's like the earth. It'll just get back to its own equilibrium.
So balance is the key takeaway. So sir, what is one book you would recommend aspiring startup builders to read?
Lean Startup by Richard Lillis.
Okay, nice. So our audience will definitely remember that. And sir, what is one thing you wish you had known when you started in the travel business?
For me, as I said, I did not go there by chance.
Okay.
I went there because I wanted to be there. So for me, I probably, unlike many others, for me it was a choice that I wanted to be there.
Okay.
and I'm living that dream
Nice.
rather than falling into it and then learning, oh, I have to learn all these things.
So it's nice to know that you are living your dreams, because it often happens that many people are not not able to live into their dreams.
So I think, see, it's like this, right? How do you know your dreams? And this is what I've been telling a lot of youngsters. It's very important to know what is your strength, what are you good at, and how does those qualities and those skill sets complement to your passion. And once you identify that, take your courses and everything accordingly, and you will eventually get your dream job done.
Correct.
But
Agreed.
the most important thing is to understand what is your strength. So for that was something that we spoke about as well in the past, is that if you really go back and take for the last 15 years your happy moments in life, your most achieved moments, like people came and congratulated you, they came and said, hey, good job. If you write all of them down, and then you start creating, okay, why did this happen? Because of this quality. Why did this happen? Because of this quality. You'll find common denominating factors.
Okay.
And if you take that subset and really put it on a piece of paper and see those 6-7 points, you'll actually realize that this is what my actual inner strength is, which I never knew about. With these inner strengths, and this is my passion of what I like to do, what is the correlation between both? You find your field and you start moving.
So it's
towards
like in self-SWOT analysis.
Exactly. It's a very important thing to do.
Yeah. So, sir, coming to the closure. To close, if you could give one piece of advice to MBA students who are dreaming of becoming impactful leaders, what it would be?
I think definitely be passionate.
Okay.
Something which nobody else will tell you. Don't be a perfectionist.
Okay.
Because sometimes being perfect will scale you down. Because being perfect takes time. There is never a perfect moment in life. What you have, do the best with what you can have. Don't have a Ferrari and drive on first gear. That's what I mean. Right? So with what you have, drive on the fifth gear, then upgrade your car, then upgrade your car, then upgrade your car.
Okay.
Don't wait for the perfect moment. You have lost time. Time is opportunity. Opportunity is money, and the company will crash.
Nice to hear that. So thank you, sir, for this interactive
Thank you.
session. It
Thank
was
you.
pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.